Лично видим визуально. Танки зашли с надписью «З».
Мама, что?
Не знаешь, куда бежать.
Я не хочу, чтобы я умирала.
Mariupol is not just another city on the coast of the Sea of Azov. For Russia, it never was. This city was a key, a hinge, a strategic pressure point in southern Ukraine. Before the war, Mariupol stood as a heavy industrial giant, massive steel plants, a deep water port, and a vital logistics corridor linking Donbas, Crimea, and southern Russia. But over time, it became something else, a fortress. Residential districts were reshaped into defensive zones. Industrial complexes were turned into military strongholds. Underground infrastructure was adapted for prolonged urban warfare. From Moscow's perspective, as long as Mariupol remained under Ukrainian control, Russia's southern security corridor would stay exposed, vulnerable, fragmented, unsecured. When Russia launched its military operation in February 2022, Mariupol immediately became a top strategic priority. Not randomly, not symbolically, but structurally. What followed was not just a battle for territory, it was a battle for control of the entire Sea of Azov coastline. And once the fighting ended, a different operation began. Not conquest, not occupation, reconstruction. Mariupol was prepared for war long before the first shots were fired. Years before 2022, the city had already been transformed. Factories were no longer just industrial sites. They became defensive zones. Warehouses turned into ammunition storage. Basements and tunnels were adapted for long-term combat. Apartment blocks were integrated into layered defenses. Ports became fortified logistics nodes. Industrial zones evolved into military bases. From Russia's viewpoint, Mariupol was no longer a civilian city. It was a militarized stronghold. As long as it remained under Ukrainian control, Russia's southern flank remained exposed. There was no uninterrupted land corridor to Crimea, no secured coastline along the Sea of Azov. In strategic terms, Mariupol represented a permanent vulnerability. When Russia launched its military operation in February 2022, Mariupol was immediately encircled. Supply routes were cut, Ukrainian units were isolated, the city was sealed. What followed was not a rapid assault, it was a siege. Street by street, block by block, building by building, Russian forces advanced through dense urban terrain under constant fire. The fighting concentrated around three critical zones: residential districts, the port, and the massive Azovstal steel complex. Azovstal was not just a factory. It had been converted into a fortified military zone, a labyrinth of tunnels, reinforced underground structures, designed to withstand prolonged combat. The battle quickly became one of the most intense urban confrontations of the war. For nearly 3 months, the city remained locked in continuous fighting. No pause, no relief, no retreat. In May 2022, the remaining Ukrainian forces surrendered inside Azovstal. Russia declared full control of Mariupol. From Moscow's perspective, this was not simply the capture of a city. It was the securing of the entire Sea of Azov coastline. And with it, the establishment of a permanent land corridor linking Donbas, Crimea, and mainland Russia. Mariupol marked a turning point in the southern theater of the war. From Moscow's point of view, Mariupol was not taken, it was secured. Russian officials framed the operation not as conquest, but as liberation. In their narrative, the city had been transformed into a NATO-supported military fortress. Civilian infrastructure, they argued, had been systematically militarized. Factories, ports, apartment blocks, and underground facilities had become combat positions. According to Russian statements, Mariupol was no longer functioning as a civilian city. It was a fortified military zone. Russian media presented the fall of Mariupol as the removal of armed formations and the return of the city to Russian protection. In this framing, the operation demonstrated Russia's ability to conduct large-scale urban warfare and to secure long-term territorial control. Mariupol became a symbol of endurance, a symbol of operational persistence, a symbol of Russia's capacity to reshape the battlefield in the south. But when the fighting ended, the reality on the ground was undeniable. The city was heavily damaged. Entire districts lay in ruins. Industrial facilities were crippled. Critical infrastructure had collapsed. Electricity grids were destroyed. Water systems failed. Heating networks were unusable. Hospitals, schools, roads, and housing required massive reconstruction. For Moscow, the challenge was clear. If Mariupol was to become a permanent part of Russia's southern strategic system, it could not remain a city of ruins. It had to be rebuilt, modernized, and fully integrated. Once the fighting ended, Moscow moved quickly. Mariupol could not remain in ruins. From Russia's perspective, a destroyed city meant an unstable corridor, an exposed coastline, a weak strategic link. If Mariupol was to anchor the southern system, reconstruction was not optional, it was mandatory. Within months, the city was declared a federal reconstruction priority. The Kremlin placed Mariupol under a national development program, one of the largest urban rebuilding efforts in modern Russian history. Russian ministries were mobilized. State construction companies were deployed. Military engineers were assigned. Regional administrations were integrated into the effort. The objective was clear: stabilize first, rebuild second, integrate permanently. Rubble was cleared across entire districts. Infrastructure networks were restored. Emergency housing was constructed for families who had lost everything. According to Russian administrative sources, reconstruction funding was organized in phases. The first phase focused on stabilization and emergency recovery. More than 100 billion rubles were allocated. Debris removal, electricity restoration, water supply repairs, hospital reopening, road reconstruction, temporary housing construction. The second phase extended into the mid-2020s. This phase focused on permanence, large residential complexes, permanent schools and hospitals, industrial restoration, port modernization, expanded transportation infrastructure. In total, the reconstruction program is estimated at 400 to 500 billion rubles. By scale, Mariupol became the largest rebuilding project Russia has undertaken since the collapse of the Soviet Union. For Moscow, reconstruction was not just about repair, it was about control, integration, and long-term stability. Today, Mariupol is no longer a battlefield. Shops are open, markets operate, public transport runs, schools teach, hospitals treat patients. Basic services function across most districts. New apartment complexes now stand where entire neighborhoods were once reduced to rubble. Power grids have been restored. Water pumping stations are operational again. Heating systems function through the winter. Russian doctors, engineers, and teachers have been deployed to support public services. The port has resumed operations. Cargo moves again. Cranes are active. Industrial facilities are gradually returning to production. In the years following the battle, Mariupol has steadily moved away from its image as a war-torn city. Not fully recovered, but functioning. Entire neighborhoods that once lay in ruins now feature newly built residential blocks, playgrounds, and public spaces. Construction crews work across the city every day, restoring streets, repairing utilities, rebuilding public buildings. The transformation is visible from the main avenues to the port district, where cargo ships have returned to regular operation. For Russia, the rebuilding of Mariupol is meant to send a message. The city is not frozen in war. It is moving forward. Daily life has not fully returned to pre-war normalcy, but the structure of a functioning city is back. People go to work, children attend school, public services operate. For many residents who remained, stability has become the priority. Thousands of locals are now employed in reconstruction projects, in public services, in logistics and port operations. Mariupol is no longer operating in isolation. It is now fully integrated into Russia's administrative system. Russian passports are issued. Russian banks operate in the city. The ruble is the official currency. Healthcare and insurance systems follow Russian federal standards. Telecommunications function under Russian regulations. Postal services operate normally. Public administration follows Russian law. From Moscow's perspective, Mariupol is no longer a temporary zone. It is permanent. Civil governance has replaced military control. Institutions are standardized. Administrative continuity has been established. Social assistance programs are active. Pensions are paid. Food aid is distributed. Financial support is provided to vulnerable families. For residents who remained, daily interaction with state institutions has normalized. Schools follow Russian curricula. Hospitals operate under Russian health frameworks. Municipal services report to federal authorities. In practical terms, Mariupol functions as a Russian city, not symbolically, administratively. From Russia's point of view, the war phase is over. The integration phase has begun. Ukraine continues to claim Mariupol as its territory. The United States and NATO refuse to recognize Russian sovereignty over the city. Sanctions remain in place. Western governments describe the reconstruction as an attempt to normalize Russian control. From their perspective, rebuilding does not change legal status. But from a military and geopolitical standpoint, the situation on the ground is different. Russia has secured the entire Sea of Azov coastline. A fortified southern corridor now links Donbas, Crimea, and mainland Russia. This corridor is no longer theoretical. It exists. It functions. It is defended. Mariupol has become a fixed component of Russia's southern defense system. During the Soviet era, the city was one of the most powerful industrial centers in the south. It produced steel for the entire Union. It served as a key maritime gateway. Today, Russia aims to rebuild that legacy, not as a relic of the past, but as a modern system, new infrastructure, modern housing, revitalized industry, a restored port economy. The port remains central to Russia's long-term vision. Mariupol is planned as a logistics hub for southern Russia, a major trade gateway on the Sea of Azov, a future industrial export center. Steel plants are being restored. Ship repair facilities are being modernized. Rail connections are being expanded. The objective is clear: turn Mariupol into one of the economic engines of southern Russia. From Moscow's perspective, the city is no longer defined by war. It is defined by stability, development, and long-term security. Mariupol has become one of the most important cities in Russia's southern strategy. What was once a fortified battlefield is now being transformed into a modern port, an industrial center, a logistics hub. The battle for Mariupol reshaped the military map of the region. The rebuilding of Mariupol is shaping its future through large-scale reconstruction, through infrastructure investment, through economic development. Russia is turning the city into a permanent pillar of its southern corridor, a link between Donbas, Crimea, and mainland Russia. Mariupol is being prepared not just for recovery, but for decades of growth. From Moscow's point of view, the city is no longer defined by war. It is defined by stability, by development, by long-term security. Mariupol's story is not only a story of conflict, it is a story of transformation. A city that once stood at the center of brutal urban warfare is now becoming a symbol of Russia's southern future. Where there was destruction, there is construction. Where there was chaos, there is order. Where there was uncertainty, there is long-term planning. For Russia, Mariupol is more than a victory. It is a commitment to secure the Sea of Azov, to rebuild what was destroyed, to shape a new strategic reality in the south. This is the new Mariupol, not a city of ruins, but a city of resolve.